not good. I'm having like kind of fever from the morning. But yeah, I really wanna discuss with you guys something. That is why I'm here. Okay, now if you remember 2 weeks back, we had a session. So we had a discussion topic. Why aren't there enough women in power positions? And that like turns out to be a chaotic one. Everybody, one of you, like boys clashed with girls, girls clashed with boys. But yeah, you might have seen that there is a ideology difference between you guys. And in today's session, what I'm interested is, I want to explore the question, why there aren't enough women in power positions. I'm really interested in that question, and for the past 2 weeks, I have been researching on this topic, and I might be sharing because my temperature is 101, but yeah, bear it with me, okay? So, what I'm interested in is, I want to explore the question, I want to explore why, not on the solution. We'll explore what are the attributes, what are the things which are really there. Okay, just kind of on, yeah. What are the attributes, what are the things which is really there which causes this, a sort of difference between a man and woman. Okay? So, shall we start? But I want one thing from you guys. It is really important, you guys are youngsters, 18, 20, but it is really important to understand, and if you are with me for next 10 minutes, believe me, you'll get a clear perspective on why there is a difference. Okay, so let us start with our first image. Here you can see that I have shown you two images. On the left side, there is an image. On the right side, there is an image. And most of you guys are coming from Indian background, but these images are Egyptian goddess. These two are Egyptian goddess which depicts femininity in two different parameters. On the left, her name is Isis, and she is the queen of underworld, and one of her power is she can see through things. Right? She can see who you really are. And this is the presupposition of Jesus Christ. If you notice in Christianity, there is a popular image which you always see, Mary and Christ image. Similarly, Isis has a child, his name is Jesus. So this represents the image. On the left represents positive feminine. On the right, her name is Gorgon. And she fills you with terror. You can see that how dangerous she is. And whenever you see her image now, you feel terrorized with her. Right? So these are the two different images of femininity. Now let us go to the next image. So here you can see that this is the image, one of the popular images in the mankind. And you see that she is married in Arabic, in Islam, we call her Maryam, and this is Isa. Okay, and I believe that this has to be that ultimate value. If you notice in hierarchy, pyramid, this image has to be top on every hierarchy. Whatever religion you are from, let's say you are a Hindu, you are a Muslim, but this image has to be on top of every value system. And believe me when I say that our society terribly fails when it comes to depicting the relation between a mother and infant. And believe me when I say that, there will be no humans if there aren't any mother and infant. Can you imagine a world where there are no mothers and infants? No, right? So this image has to be like ultimate value system of every hierarchy. No matter what the hierarchy is, it has to be on the top. Now, as I said, we do a terrible job in realizing women that she can be a mother, she can be a housewife. My aunt is a psychotherapist and she has a patient recently. I was sitting there and one woman came to her and explained her emotions that she feels ashamed to have babies. She's 20, 30, I think 28. She's working in T-Hub, which is the largest incubator in the world. Okay, she's working there, top man, right, really top. But she's ashamed of telling other people that she wants to have babies. And this is where you have to notice that we do a terrible job in representing the relation between a mother and an infant. Now, what I really want here in this session is, I want you to notice something. I want you to notice one, lifestyle of a typical conservative woman. What's her lifestyle? What are the things she goes through in a period of time, in her lifetime. Now, if you notice, we will take what you can say, typical conservative woman, because if you notice bell curve, in welfare, there are extremes. How many of you know normal distribution? Okay. Anyways, so normal distribution is something like this, right? In therapy, in psychology, what we do is that we will notice the extreme values because it represents the real data of a particular person. Now, if you notice agreeableness, there are 5 personality traits of person: openness, extraversion, neuroticism, agreeableness, and finally consciousness. These are the 5 traits of a person. Now, if you notice, a typical conservative woman, she tends to be on more agreeable side when compared to men. Men tends to be on more disagreeable side. That is why if you notice, there are a lot of men in jail when compared to men. Why is that? Because women are agreeable. They tend to be more agreeable. They say yes to everything. If I ask something to rehash, she will say, okay, I'll do it, I will try it. Because she's agreeable. If I ask the same thing to one of my friends, Imran, he will ask 10 questions. Why I have to do it, why I have to make it. Because there is an innate psychological difference between men and women. Men tend to be on disagreeable and women tend to be on agreeable side. Now what happens is, if you notice academics, women, typically, more women when compared to men are the ones who are having good CGPA. When compared, you can see that all of you men have on average good CGPA when compared to these boys. And something you need to notice here, which is in academics, no matter where you are, let's say you are in US, let's say you are in India, no matter where you are, we made our academic systems in such a way that if you are agreeable, you are ticked. You will have innately good CGPA. For example, let's say she is an agreeable person and you are a bit disagreeable person. Now, I'm a professor. I like her more because she agrees to me on everything. So I will give her a good mark when compared to you. And even though you are having good IQ, even though you are a conscious person, but we fail terribly when it comes to giving marks because she is agreeable, she will take good marks. Now, what happens is that she nails her JMS, she nails her MSET because agreeable persons are the ones who work more. Okay, got it. Clear? Till now, everyone clear that she scores good marks in school. Now, she gives MSET and she's really good at marks. Okay, she scores really good marks in MSET. Now she enters a good college based on the parents, the financial system. She enters a relatively good college. Okay, now what's her life like? She scores really good in college as well. You might see that all of you guys are having, I'm damn sure that all of you will have CGPA 9 point above. Right? Yeah, anyways here, what I want to make this clear is that after college, she will go to associate position. She will go to a company, and the job of every person is that she has to be or he has to be agreeable, or else you will never get a job. Let's say, imagine a scenario where you are saying to your boss, I will not do this thing because I don't like it. You will never do it, right? So this woman scores really good, performs really good in companies as well. Now, you need to notice one thing here, that as you move in hierarchy, agreeableness will help you, but it will not completely help you, it will tear you down. As you move up in hierarchy, if you notice, Empire State Building, the entire building is made up of cement, and the top position of the Empire State Building is made up of aluminium. Similarly, if you notice pyramids, the entire pyramid is made up of some material, and the top of pyramid is made up of gold. So, the thing you need to remember here is that as you move up in hierarchy, every system can be broken down into hierarchy. And as you move up in hierarchy, you have to be a disagreeable person. Now, here comes a clash. All her life, she is an agreeable person. She said yes to everything. Now, what's your life like? You make $200,000 a year, $300,000 a year, $500,000 a year. Now, what's your life like? Let's say you are having a leave on Sunday at 3 a.m. Client will call you and you have to bloody answer it. If you don't answer, then there is some other company who will take the customer. So, no matter how hard your life is, you have to work 70 hours a week, 75 hours a week. Now just imagine, let's say a woman is a 30. She has a partner and her partner will make enough money or more money than her. Okay? Now just imagine, my dad said me one thing, which is if you make in India 4 lakh rupees per month, and let's say Riha is making 11 lakh rupees per month, there will be zero quality life difference. There will be zero quality life difference. There is a threshold which you have to like hit, and after you hit the hierarchy, after you hit that mark, you will never notice a life difference. Let's say you are making $10,000 a year, which is equivalent to 1 crore per year, and you are making $500,000 a year, which is basically 4 crores. Okay, now you will never see a life quality difference. Now, why would she choose to work in a 75 hours a job, very stressful, when compared to you can go in an easy place? Now, the right question to ask is why there aren't enough women in power positions. Wrong question. You need to ask this, that in the hierarchy system, why there is any man who wants to be in that position? You know, you have to be such a knowledge, you have to be so high competitive men. We call it in psychology, we call it as higher competitive men. And these men have a tendency that they will work 70 hours a week, 12 hours a day. They will go and work, and their wife, children, way in the second category. The thing you need to remember is that because there is a psychological difference between men and women, and as you move up in hierarchy, you have to be a disagreeable person. You will see that if you notice, let's say a faculty in MITS, you can go and talk to the principal. Let's say you are at the same time you are going to talk with principals. Now you are afraid. Why is that? Have you ever questioned? Because principals comes at the top of hierarchy, top of pyramid. And if you want to go in top of pyramid, you have to be a disagreeable man. And this is where all your life you are agreeable, and you will have a boss who is disagreeable, who will talk shit about you, and because you are agreeable, inside yourself you are a really good person. You will fail terribly there. And that is why women leave high-end law firms after they are 30.